If I told you a bipedal dog and a generic Dark Souls demi-boss hating each other was turned into a TV series about tights, robots, and explosions, would you believe me? What's up, nerds? Welcome to this year's Morphin March. It's 2025 now, and you may not think it at first, but this is a surprisingly significant year, at least in terms of Power Rangers lore. You see, back in 2005, the 11th installment of Power Rangers franchise debuted, Power Rangers S.P.D. However, unlike other series that take place more or less in the year they appear in, S.P.D. took place in the hyper-futuristic era of 2025. Not only that, but the franchise even remembered this fact and made sure to keep it relevant and canon-compliant. In SPD's time, aliens have co-inhabited Earth and lived together with Earthlings in relative harmony. For galactic criminals, the answer is Space Patrol Delta, or SPD. This police force/intergalactic military faction is tasked with defending justice all across the stars. To that end, they enlist teams of specially trained recruits to be squads of Power Rangers. I cannot gush enough about how Saban managed to keep SPD in mind with their more recent inclusions. If you pay close enough attention, some of the older Rangers in Once and Always are wearing uniforms for Space Patrol Alpha. With this special/movies events taking place roughly in the 2019-2020 era, it all still fits remarkably well. And you know the Rafconians from Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury? Well, they were the first alien race to officially colonize on Earth, opening the floodgates to all the others that we see throughout SPD's runtime. Anyone who knows me knows that I love interconnected plots, so seeing this much care and attention to detail is a delight and a half for me. So, in light of the fact that it's the year this series took place in, as well as the fact that, according to statements made by members of the Power Rangers production team, stating that they will no longer be focusing on live-action series for the brand, this may be the final chapter of the Ranger story in the timeline. All that in mind, here is a brief lore overview of Power Rangers SPD, with more videos on this topic to follow later into the month. Like I said before, SPD takes place when Earth is a galactic hot pot of alien life forms, making the traditional view of monster all but non-existent by traditional terms of Power Rangers. A good example is this guy. He looks like a run-of-the-mill monster of the week, but actually he's a bounty hunter that's been chasing down a criminal. This show did great things with the perspective that we're used to from the series, and the fact that it fits with the modern-day mindset 20 years later is perfect. While SPD is public now, back when it was more top secret in 2001, a bare minimum of 6 individuals were working on some kind of chemical-based experiment. Something went awry, and the radiation augmented the humans involved in the project. Thankfully, it was nothing negative, as far as the show reveals, but it did have some interesting consequences. The children of those 6 individuals were blessed with special powers that they can use to their advantage. These 6 individuals are our main 6 SPD Power Rangers. Jack can phase through most solid mass. We only encounter one instance where he can't phase through, and it's in the finale of the show. If the Rangers were able to use these powers in their Ranger form, I imagine this power would have been used a lot more. Sky's power is fairly simple. He can wave his hand in a half circle to create a force field that can repel just about anything. Barring one single example, this shield is basically unbreakable. Okay, so Bridge is an interesting one. So, if his hand is bare, he can wave it in front of someone to read their aura. Now, what exactly this means is unclear, as Bridge is completely incapable of giving a simple explanation of it. Not only that, he can also use this power to sense lingering auras, kind of like Force Echoes from Star Wars. Z can create multiple duplicates of herself. Now, how much of a flesh and bone copy the clone is isn't really clear, but it is solid enough to help her in a fight. Sid's power is probably one of the most versatile. You know Kevin from Ben 10 Alien Force? Yeah, basically that. She puts any kind of material in her hand, and her fist becomes that material, utilizing things like iron, cement, chromatic steel, even diamond. The ways she uses these powers are really fun to watch. There is one more, but his power doesn't really get used outside of a single instance. His power is basically forced teleportation. But as far as I can tell, he can only do it to others and not himself. Who is he? Oh, well, he's...
Force from the future! Yeah! S.P.D. Omega!
Yeah, that. More on him in a later video. So I mentioned S.P.D. as a police force. Well, it was nearly destroyed several years prior on the planet of Sirius, which is the homeworld of one of our main characters, Commander Anubis Doggy Kruger. The series' primary antagonist, Emperor Grum, invaded Sirius and battled Kruger. Kruger managed to slice off one of Grum's horns, but was badly injured and presumed dead for some time after the battle. Each of these two have sworn revenge on one another for reasons that I'll bring up at a later time. After the destruction of Sirius, the remnants of the original S.P.D. was reorganized into Galaxy Command. Kruger was able to reinstate S.P.D., and while it would have certain projects on Earth, they wouldn't have a public presence for many years until 2015. Now you'll notice I mentioned Grum as the primary antagonist. But as we learn near the finale of the series, he's actually not the main antagonist. The main antagonist of this show is, weirdly enough, the spacecraft that Grum uses as his base of operations for the whole show. It is actually an artificial body for a Lovecraftian brain thing called Omnipotence, or Omni, as the majority of the cast calls him. Grum's mission, for as long as we know him, is to strip planets of resources that are valuable to complete Omni's construction so he can have a proper body. When complete and in action, Omni is certainly imposing, but he's a typical evil for the sake of being evil villain. Now that wouldn't be so bad for this series, but since he's also a twist villain that doesn't get revealed until literally right before the finale, it feels almost like lazy writing. Especially since his defeat gets upended by Grum anyways. The only thing left I want to cover are the two crossovers this show got with Dino Thunder. The first one is just the core three, Connor, Ethan, and Kira. And honestly, the reason they even got involved in the first place is so stupid. So, the villain character Broodwing uses some doctor's technology to somehow summon the three of them from 2005 and literally says,
Come to the future. Now, you will help me destroy the planet.
Do I even need to explain how stupid a plan this is? I mean, they don't even try to brainwash or hypnotize the Dino Trio. He just spawns them into the future and asks for their help in being evil. Now, they probably didn't want to rehash the brainwashed Rangers idea from when Dino Thunder got their crossover with Ninja Storm, but literally, Broodwing's plan was doomed to fail from the get-go. The second crossover is much more interesting, albeit feels a tad more rinse and repeat logic. Okay, so remember when Rancic said that, if I can't conquer the present, I'll conquer the past? Yeah, that's basically Grum's plan in a nutshell for this episode. He creates a wormhole that goes to the year 2004. This time, it includes 4.5 of the 5 Dino Thunder Rangers. Now, I say that because, while we see Connor, Ethan, Kira, and Trent, we do not see Tommy Oliver. But we do see him as the Black Brachio Ranger. We never see him power down, meaning Jason David Frank does not play Tommy Oliver in this episode. Not only that, but there's no mention of who the voice actor is in the credits of the episode. Not even as the voice of the Black Brachio Ranger or whatever. No matter where I looked, I couldn't get a proper explanation as to why. As far as I can tell, there is no way of knowing who played Tommy's role in this episode. The only other noteworthy thing about this crossover, aside from the expected combo attacks and double battleizer, is when the Rangers circle up and everybody takes a turn saying, "No one gets inside!"
No one gets inside our circle.
No one gets inside!
No one gets inside.
No one gets inside!
No one gets inside.
No one gets inside!
No one gets inside.
No one gets inside! No one gets inside!
No one gets inside. No one gets inside.
Which, to me, makes no sense, because, I mean, it's not like they're defending anyone actively in the moment. I mean, aside from the cells, I guess. It's what I like to call a Metal Gear moment, where it's kind of cool, but mostly just weird. One last fun fact about this is that after the battle, Kruger erases the memories of everyone, including himself, except for Sam and Tommy. Now, Sam's already a time traveler, so I doubt him remembering has any consequences, and I like to think Tommy remembering is a part of why the world manages to go in the direction that it does. And with that, we've covered all the more significant lore details of S.P.D. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any fond memories of this show in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later, nerds, and may the power protect you.